Hi, my loves. Welcome back to my YouTube channel where we celebrate our unique expression of perfection. Because God didn't make duplicates, and the moment you measure yourself against the world, you hand your power away. I'm Brooke Taylor, and today we are going to talk about something that is going to change your whole energy. We are going to talk about 5 micro habits that instantly increase your femininity. Not in a perform softness so people like you kind of way, but in a way that makes you feel more grounded, more elegant, more emotionally regulated, and more magnetic. Because femininity isn't just in how you look, it's in how you carry yourself, it's how you feel within, it's how you respond, and it is how you hold your energy when the world tries to pull you out of your peace. And it is also how you feel within. And that brings me to micro habit number 1. I have my tea with me, so let's get started. Micro habit number 1, and that is to stop responding to everything. Or if you do respond once lightly and you let it land. Let me explain what I mean. Have you ever met a woman who is deeply feminine, calm, and composed? She doesn't argue. She does not over-explain herself, and she does not try to convince anyone. She will say one clear sentence and then she will be quiet. Somehow, what she says lands way more powerfully than someone speaking for 10 straight minutes. That is feminine power. A feminine woman does not fight to be understood. She speaks and lets it echo. The more you over-explain, the more energy you leak. Over-explaining is not always about communication. Many times it is anxiety. It is your nervous system saying, please understand me, please do not judge me, please do not misinterpret me, and please do not leave me. When you speak from that place, you are not anchored. You are seeking reassurance. Goddess level femininity does not come from that energy. It comes from being rooted in who you are. Remember, confidence is not loud, it is settled. Feminine energy is not chaotic, it is not reactive, it is also not desperate to be right, chosen, or validated. Feminine energy is receptive, calm, observant, and emotionally self-contained. When you are constantly responding to every comment, defending every opinion, and explaining every decision, you are not operating in your feminine. You are operating in survival mode. You are trying to prove, and you are leaning into your masculine energy. The more you explain, the more you signal that you need approval. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. Imagine you are in a conversation and you disagree with someone. Instead of raising your voice, going back and forth, trying to win, or trying to make them admit that you are right, you simply say, I hear you, or that is not how I see it, or I disagree, or that does not feel aligned for me, or even simply, okay. And then you stop speaking. You do not add a paragraph, you do not deliver a speech, you allow your words to stand on their own. Your femininity is not in the argument. It is in your composure. Silence is a boundary, not weakness. There is another layer to this. Some people do not actually want clarity. Either they want your energy, they want to pull you into a loop, or they want you to get emotional, or they want you to start proving yourself. There's a lot of different reasons why people may want you to come unglued, but we are not going to do that. Instead of raising your voice, going back and forth, trying to win or trying to make them admit you are right, you simply say, I hear you, or that is not how I see it, or I disagree, or even okay. And then you stop speaking. You do not need to add a paragraph. You do not need to deliver a speech. You allow your words to stand on their own. Your femininity is not in the argument. It is in your composure. Silence is a boundary, not a weakness. Not everything deserves your voice. Some things deserve your absence. This is especially important when it comes to dating and relationships. Sometimes, when you are dealing with a man, you will notice that the more you explain, the less he hears you. But the moment you say something simply and stop talking, it lands. Men respond to certainty. They respond to a woman who is grounded and clear, not a woman who is trying to convince them to care. Instead of arguing, begging, repeating yourself, or explaining your position over and over, you say, "This is how I feel. This is what I need. This is what I am not available for." These are a couple of ways that you can say it. And then you allow him to respond. The reason this is so feminine is because you are not chasing a reaction. You are standing in your truth. A woman in her feminine does not chase understanding. She requires respect. So here is the actual practice. Before you respond to anything, pause. Ask yourself, do I need to respond or do I need to remain composed? Everything does not deserve your emotional labor. Everything does not deserve your energy. Sometimes your silence communicates more effectively than your words ever could. Your energy becomes louder when you stop performing and start being. Micro habit number 2. Technically, it is not even micro, but the way you practice it daily is. Micro habit number 2 is this: live a full life. And when I say live a full life, I do not mean being booked and busy for aesthetics. I do not mean looking productive on social media. I mean building a life that is so rich, so structured, and so intentional that you genuinely do not have the capacity to sit around obsessing over what someone else is doing. One of the biggest things that pulls women out of their femininity is waiting. Waiting for a text, waiting for a call, waiting for a man's mood, attention, consistency, validation, or decision. The moment your day becomes centered around someone else's behavior, you are no longer operating in your feminine energy. You are in survival mode, and that is not soft. It is not magnetic, and it is not goddess energy. A woman in her feminine doesn't wait to be chosen. She becomes her highest self and lets alignment do the rest. I have learned this personally. I remember one man telling me, "I haven't texted you all day, and no matter what happens, you are always going to do Brooke." Another man said something similar. He told me, "One thing I respect about you is that no matter how much I disappear or fail to keep up, you keep your composure." And let me be clear, that was not because I did not care. I care deeply. I also love deeply. And I am romantic and soft. But I also take pride in allowing people, especially men, the freedom to do what they want to do so that I can see what they would rather do. Let people do what they want so you can see what they'd rather. That is feminine power. When you stop trying to control someone's behavior, you gain clarity. You see who they are without interference. Now, living a full life does not mean becoming cold or emotionally unavailable. It does not mean pretending you do not care, playing games, or acting artificially busy. Living a full life means you are genuinely happy with yourself. It means you can sit alone with your own company and feel peace instead of emptiness. If you cannot enjoy your own company, you will always beg for someone else's. Living a full life means you are committed to your routines, your goals, your hobbies, and your purpose in such a way that you do not abandon yourself for attention. A full life keeps you from begging for half love. The feminine benefit of living a full life is that you stop being emotionally hijacked. You are no longer sitting around waiting to be picked. You understand that you are already chosen. You may feel your feelings when something does not go as planned because you are human, but you do not spiral. You do not chase, and you do not abandon your peace. You feel it and still choose yourself. There is a real question every woman needs to ask herself. Are you happy with yourself when you are alone? Are you genuinely satisfied with who you are? If you are not, you will unconsciously treat a man like a drug. His attention will feel like oxygen. That is when the overthinking begins. That is when you become reactive and start losing your composure and femininity in search of reassurance. If you cannot stand your own company, do not expect someone else to. Living a full life also attracts better men. When you build a rich and grounded life, you become the feminine reflection of the masculine man you desire. A man of vision does not want to entertain a woman all day. A man of purpose does not want a woman who collapses emotionally every time he is busy. A man who is building something meaningful wants a woman who is building too. Not necessarily in the same way, but building her energy, her softness, her health, and her peace. A man of purpose is attracted to a woman with peace. So, micro habit number 2 is very simple. Live a full life. The more full your life becomes, the more naturally feminine you become. Because femininity is not chasing, femininity is receiving. And you cannot receive fully if you are constantly watching the door, waiting for someone to walk through it. Okay, my loves, micro habit number 3 is one of the most underrated ways to increase your femininity. And it is surprisingly simple. Slow down and stop rushing. Rushing is one of the quickest ways to pull yourself out of your feminine energy and pull yourself straight into survival mode. If you have been feeling anxious for no clear reason, easily irritated, less soft, or less pretty than usual, disconnected from the present moment, snapping at people, or constantly overwhelmed, it might not be your personality, it might just be your nervous system. A rushed woman is not an unfeminine woman. She is an overstimulated one. When you are constantly rushing, your body interprets that pace as danger. Your nervous system does not know the difference between running late and running from a threat. It simply receives the signal. Move faster, tighten up, prepare for something. However, when you intentionally slow down, you send your body a different message. You communicate safely, and safety is where feminine energy lives. Femininity is not something you perform. It is something that naturally flows out of you when you feel regulated and secure. This is supported by science. Dr. Stephen Porges, who developed polyvagal theory, explains that when the nervous system feels safe, we enter a state of connection. In that state, we are able to engage, receive, soften, and be present. That is essentially the feminine state. When you rush, your body responds by tightening. You become reactive, you become controlling, you will also become impatient, and you will for sure become emotionally guarded. You are no longer flowing, you are bracing. Rushing is a form of self-abandonment. Even in spiritual and empowerment literature, this principle shows up. In Rise Sister Rise, Rebecca Campbell emphasizes that women reconnect with their intuition when they stop living in constant urgency. Intuition is subtle and it is quiet. You cannot access quiet wisdom when your entire life is loud and frantic. Similarly, in Warrior Goddess training, Heather Ash Amara teaches that true feminine power comes from trust rather than force. Slowing down is an act of trust. It is the belief that you do not have to panic your way into a better life. The feminine does not chase time, she expands it. Slowing down does not mean moving like a snail or becoming unproductive. It means refusing to move through your life as though you are running from something. It means walking a little slower instead of power walking in tension. It means chewing your food without multitasking. It also means responding after you have breathed rather than reacting immediately. It can also mean getting ready without rushing your reflection. It can also mean speaking in a calm tone instead of firing off words. Another example is pausing before you answer. When you move more slowly and deliberately, something shifts. You become more magnetic, people feel your presence, and you enter rooms differently. Your words carry way more weight and your energy feels grounded instead of frantic. A woman who is not rushed becomes unforgettable. So, micro habit number 3 is this: slow down and stop rushing. When you rush, you lose your presence, and presence is your power. The softer and more regulated you become, the stronger you actually are. Okay, my loves, micro habit number 4 is one of the most feminine skills you will ever learn. And ironically, it is one of the hardest for high achieving women to embody. Micro habit number 4 is this: practice receiving daily. And when I say receiving, I do not just mean receiving gifts, money, or compliments. I mean learning how to receive in general. Receiving help, receiving softness, receiving support, receiving love, receiving ease, and receiving rest. Also, receiving kindness, receiving opportunities, and receiving good things without guilt. Because a lot of women believe they are operating in their feminine energy, but they are still moving through life as if everything must be earned through struggle. They feel as though they must work for love, work for rest, work for validation, and work for peace. That is not feminine energy. That is survival mode. If you can only receive what you've suffered for, you are still operating from scarcity. Feminine energy is receptive by nature. It is open, it does not force or grip tightly. When you truly observe women who feel deeply feminine, you will notice something interesting. They are not necessarily the women who are doing the most. They are the women who allow the most. Hear me out. They allow life to support them. They allow people to show up for them. They also allow men to pursue them, and they allow God to provide for them. They also allow opportunities to find them. This does not make them lazy. It makes them regulated and secure. Receiving is not weakness, it is trust. Now, psychologically speaking, many women struggle with receiving because of something known as self-worth conditioning. Many of us were taught either directly or indirectly that we are lovable when we are useful. So we become the woman who overfunctions, overgives, overthinks, overperforms, and overachieves. Then we are confused about why we feel exhausted and depleted. Dr. Brene Brown, who is one of the most widely respected researchers on vulnerability and shame, speaks often about how difficult vulnerability is for high performing women. Receiving requires vulnerability. Receiving means admitting that you do not have to do it all. It also means you do not have to prove your worth constantly. It means you are allowing someone else to contribute to your life. Receiving requires more courage than giving. This next part may feel a little bit confronting, but I say it with love. Many women pray for a good man, financial freedom, peace, softness, and a better life. But when those things begin to appear, they block them. They respond with, "No, it's okay, I've got it," or "You don't have to do that," or "I don't want to be a burden," or "I can pay for it myself," or "I don't want to owe anyone." And that is not empowerment. That is fear disguised as independence. If you cannot receive, you cannot be provided for. In one of the most popular books of all time, The 5 Love Languages by Dr. Gary Chapman, 2 of the primary love languages are receiving gifts and acts of service. Many men express love through providing, doing, and giving. When a woman consistently rejects that expression, even subtly, the man may feel shut down or unneeded. To him, providing is not about control, It is about connection. That is, if he's in his healthy masculine. Sometimes your independence is blocking your intimacy. So, what does practicing receiving daily actually look like? Let us make this practical. First, receive compliments without deflecting them. If someone tells you that you look beautiful, simply say, "Thank you." Do not diminish yourself. Do not brush it off. Do not make a joke at your own expense. Just receive it. Second, receive help without guilt. If someone offers to carry something for you or assist you, allow it. You do not have to prove that you can handle everything on your own. Third, receive rest without feeling as though you must earn it. I used to do this. In school, I would not go to the gym because I had to earn it. So understand that you do not have to burn yourself out in order to deserve peace. Rest is not a reward, it is a right. Fourth, receive pleasure without shame. Enjoy your skincare routine. Enjoy your shower. Enjoy your perfume. Enjoy your food. Enjoy your workouts. Allow yourself to experience pleasure without attaching productivity to it. The feminine thrives in pleasure, not pressure. So, micro habit number 4 is this: practice receiving daily. The woman who can truly receive is the woman who can truly be loved. You do not become more feminine by doing more, improving more. You become more feminine by allowing more. The more you receive, the more you will radiate. Okay, my loves, micro habit number 5 is one that truly separates women who desire a high level life from women who are actually prepared to live one. Micro habit number 5 is this: stop being entitled and start expanding. I want to approach this gently because I understand where a lot of us are coming from. We live in a time where women are incredibly independent. We make our own money, buy what we want, and create our own lives. And that is powerful and it should be celebrated. However, sometimes we unknowingly weaponize that independence. The moment something disappoints us in a relationship, our first instinct becomes, I don't need this. I can do this on my own. I can buy it myself. I don't have to deal with this. While that response may feel empowering in the moment, it is often coming from defense rather than expansion. The highest form of relationship is not dependence, and it is not hyper independence either. It is interdependence. And interdependence requires emotional maturity. It requires vulnerability. It requires the ability to sit with discomfort and grow through it rather than retreat into ego. If your first response to relational tension is to pull back and say, I'll just handle everything myself, there may be a part of you that still needs healing. That is not something to feel ashamed of, but it is something to be aware of. Another important truth is this: when you lean heavily on your accomplishments to prove your worth, you subtly lean out of your femininity. Your accomplishments are beautiful. Your intelligence is beautiful. Your ambition is beautiful. But feminine energy is not rooted in what you have achieved. It is rooted in who you are. Your calm presence, your emotional regulation, your softness, your ability to expand something greater than yourself. Entitlement often sounds like this: I deserve better, but you are not actively becoming better. Where is my husband? But you are not emotionally prepared to be a wife. Why won't a man choose me? But you have not asked yourself what you have consistently demonstrated that makes you a peaceful, supportive, expansive partner. That question should not offend you because you have inherent value simply from being a woman. However, if you do not understand your inherent value and cultivate it intentionally, it becomes difficult for someone else to recognize it. Expansion is not about hustling in masculine energy all day. It is not about overworking or trying to outperform men. Expansion is about increasing your capacity. It is learning how to regulate your emotions when you feel disappointed, It is learning how to communicate calmly instead of reacting impulsively. It is becoming financially literate and disciplined, and it is also becoming consistent in your routines. It is learning how to hold your standards without becoming bitter. It is also in learning how to receive without guilt. It is also learning how to be soft without being naive. And if you desire a man with vision, you must become a woman who knows how to expand vision. That means you can see what he is building, determine whether it aligns with your own values, and then consciously choose to contribute your feminine strengths to his vision. If you want a wealthy lifestyle, you must cultivate a wealthy mindset rather than one rooted in scarcity or comparison. If you want a strong leader, you must learn how to operate in peace rather than competition. If you want provision, you must learn how to receive. If you want a powerful partnership, you must be emotionally equipped to participate in one. You do not attract what you merely want. You attract what you are prepared to sustain. So, micro habit number 5 is simple but transformative. Stop being entitled and start expanding. Instead of asking why life has not delivered something to you yet, begin asking who you are becoming in the process. Because Goddess energy is not about demanding more from the world. It is about increasing your internal capacity so that when more arrives, you can hold it with grace. And when you expand, your life expands with you. Thank you so much for watching this video. Like, comment, and subscribe if this video resonated with you. And don't forget, stay perfectly you.